Sony announced today that they're going to be laying off 900 people. It's February 27th to keep all the layoffs straight. So sorry for anybody losing their job. It includes their closing the studio, the London studio, which actually made some really cool VR stuff that I got to play. So I'm really sorry to hear this being affected. And I have friends at Sony. They're thoughtful, well-meaning people. I don't think any of this was taken lightly or casually. I just think they're missing something that I see this trend happening in the industry, both here and in publishing, actually. And then publishing is in journalism and writing. And then also something else happening to the game industry in particular that is problematic. So first, Sony released their financials last week. They're profitable, but not profitable enough. They're down in their projections of what their PlayStation 5 sales were going to be. And then one of the analysis kind of summed up a lot of what we're seeing today. Their revenue on digital sales, add-on content, digital downloads are at all-time high, and yet their margins are at decades low. This is just not acceptable. Not acceptable. Must make all the money all the time. Right, but think about Sony, where they're at now is they have some single-player games that are very expensive to make. We just saw Spider-Man, the most recent one was $300 million. That's expensive. There's some games as a service that they're getting their feet out under and learning that, right? So they're trying to do some things. They are a hit-driven entertainment company, right? Because you're going to tell me, like this whole layoffs. Yeah, they gotta optimize for stockholder efficiency or money or whatever. They're shooting the stockholders, long-term stockholders, in the foot right now because they are an entertainment company. They are not a high-tech startup, right? There's this confusion that everyone wants to run like a high-tech startup. Vice News has to be a high-tech startup. It's got to maximize its profits. It's got to have exponential growth, right? Sony's got to have bigger growth, more profit. They're doing all these things of high-tech startups when, hey, you bought Sony, you got Sony, right? What you are is you're an entertainment company. You make hardware, but mainly you sell games and music. And really, you sell games. And that's what you are. And that's fine. Be happy with what you are. Like, that's an awesome thing that you are. You make games. You make great games. But your revenue is going to be lumpy. You're not going to be, Wall Street's darling. Ever. Right? So I bought a Chevy Bolt. I like my Bolt a lot. It is more efficient than a Tesla. It is tiny. It is a tiny car. It parks everywhere. It's awesome. I park downtown Seattle. People drive by. They can't fit in that spot. I can. I don't ever think about putting gas in a car. It's awesome. But it's not going to win the Daytona 500. I didn't buy it to be a race car. I don't need a race car. I need a car to drive around a city. City with very little parking. That's what I got. That's what it works. It's awesome, right? And Sony, you have an entertainment company. Stop pretending you're a high-tech startup. Yeah, you built some really cool VR headsets, which I'm worried that some of these layoffs affected other VR agent companies at your place. But yeah, that's what you are. Just embrace what you are, right? When we see this with Microsoft as well, though Microsoft is a big high-tech company, but let's look at Xbox, right? Embrace who you are. This is who you are. It's okay, right? So there's that part of it, right? Every company in the world now is trying to be a high-tech startup with exponential growth that's going to become the next darling of Wall Street. But you're not. You're never going to. What you are going to do is you're going to shoot yourself in the foot for long term. And we're not seeing Sony just do this, right? Go reread the layoffs of Riot, of Epic, of Microsoft. All right. And you'll see what they're doing is they are destroying their farm team, right? So in baseball, you have this idea that you have a bunch of people, you get out of college, you're not good enough for the pros yet. You're going to go learn the game. You're going to learn it in the minor leagues. You're going to get better. And then the pro teams get to go look at the minor leagues and go, hey, who's doing well? Let's link you up. Let's sign you up. Let's move you up to the big league, to the big time, right? We're losing that, right? Riot said, hey, we're only going to have like big games anymore. We're not going to do all these small projects, all these things that maybe could become big, maybe where the big hits come from. But no, we're not. We're just going to concentrate on these big ones. Only these big ones are what we care about. And that's scary. That's bad. Like, so me and Doug Lombardi used to joke at Valve that any game at Valve comes out will sell 100,000 copies. Everything after that is work. It's probably even a larger number than that, right? And that's what these big companies are banking on, that they have so many people that are just so excited that they can just market through any piece of crap, no matter what. And you're going to buy so many copies of it, right? But that's not where the hits are coming anymore from. That's the reason why, right? Like, so I do not mean to say anything bad about the team at Halo. I know you worked hard and you suffered layoffs, but Halo underperformed. Halo was the result of corporate planning. Helldiver 2 came out. Helldiver 2 is not the result of corporate planning. I mean, they're planning, they're smart people. But right there, a feisty independent team over there who made that. I like the CEO. But you can't grind your way out to success, right? Right? You can't just put something out there and say you're going to grind it out, like that you're good enough that you can do that, right? Think of the big game companies that have released fairly forgettable content recently, and not that it's bad, right? Not that it's bad, but it has not performed anywhere near what expectations were. Did not set the game like world on fire, something on fire, like to burn things. What can I say? But no, right? It hasn't. And instead, what we've seen is like Helldivers 2 came out of essentially nowhere, right? It sold way more. Lethal Company comes out of nowhere. Pal World comes out of nowhere. I mean, even Baldur's Gate 3, there's no way the expectations of sales was going to be what it was, right? Even though that was an early access and we got to see what it was going to be and it was going to be something special, right? But we're seeing these games come out of there and not these big corp companies, because these big companies are like, we're the Valorant company and we've got LoL. We're CSGO and we've got Dota 2, right? Like, we've got our foot in these big markets of types of games, and that is who we are. And we see this, with Call of Duty. Microsoft bought Call of Duty, right? And I tell you what, Bobby Kotick is again, smartest dude for just bailing when he did, because what are they going to do with that franchise? That franchise is in a rough spot, right? We talked about that the other day. The Gears of War franchise in a tough spot, right? Because can you just keep grinding out on these franchises, or do you need to have something new come out of nowhere? And how do you build it up when you're cutting all of that, right? I mean, Riot's, again, talked about cutting that. Epic talked about that. I mean, all right, getting rid of Bandcamp. Man, we still don't understand Bandcamp, man. It's like a year later, and we still don't understand Bandcamp. All right, but you need to have that. And so then as players, we're like, okay, we're just going to play indie stuff. That's cool. But indie's getting squeezed, right? So right now what we're seeing is, I'll tell you what, maybe I just know losers. But nobody I know got funded at DICE. Nobody's expecting to go to GDC and get funded. All of the publishers are scared right now because they're scared of games. You have Game Pass on one side and then this massive disaster on the other. These hits come out of nowhere, essentially, right? The winner on this, out of all of these things, is Steam. Because Valve doesn't fund. They just amplify, right? So they amplify the winners. They don't have to pick the winners. It's hard. So I respect these companies for having to go look at something on the board and be like, yeah, maybe that'll be a winner. I thought I was making a winner, right? Like, we all have this expectation, right? And so that's hard. But that's going to come out of nowhere. But now all these companies are really scared. And the really bad thing that's going to happen this year is all these AA companies, all these people who left Ubisoft, who left Riot, who left all these other companies, Valve, who got funding. And they're going to be like, hey, we need more money. Man, the pandemic slowed us down. We still haven't released yet. We need more money. No one's going to get funding this year. No one's going to get follow-on funding. What you're going to get is new funding because you can look at something that's unknown and be like, oh, that's magical. That's going to be the biggest thing ever because, right, explosive growth. It's got to be explosive growth. It can't just be this. It can't be this. It's got to be this. And so they can look at what you've made and be like, oh, yeah, no. But, man, the new company, maybe, but even they're not getting funded, right? So we're going to see a bloodbath in that space. So you can't just say, hey, you guys all got laid off. Just go form another company. Like, where's that funding coming from? It's getting really tight. Now, there's some people doing this, and there's exceptions, and you'll post them at me and call me an idiot, right? That's fine, but those are still the exceptions. The trend in the industry happening right now is there's a big squeeze going on. And the crazy thing for these big studios like Sony, hey, sorry, I'm going to call you out. Talent has never been cheaper. When I was hiring for my startup, I was getting told, hey, I could go to Meta and make $1 million a year. That's not happening anymore. The landscape has changed. Salaries have gone down. You could go fund a whole new studio at dirt cheap. You can. That's what you should be doing. You should be retaining talent. You should be taking 1 million shots on the goal right now. You have the chance to put a bunch of these games in progress and take these shots. And then you'll come out years from now, and then you'll have that be able to min-max your profitability. But instead, you're choosing to do it now, and that's a mistake.